Hello, Point Park baseball fans. We're here with head coach Loren Torres in his third year. We're just about a week away from the start of the 2012 season. Coach, we're coming off a great season last year. Is this year's team ready to meet the challenges of a new year?
You know, we have worked hard to put ourselves in a position to meet our goals, and we are prepared, and we have worked hard, and we're excited to get going next week.
Speaking of last year, it was a breakout year for the team, 38-13 overall, went to the conference finals, one game away from the national tournament. How does last season help give you something to build on in the summer, in the fall, and all during the winter?
Last season is actually our driving force to what we're trying to accomplish this year, which is to get to the World Series. And you know, it absolutely allows us to we were so close that and got a small taste of success last year that it's allowing us to raise the bar and have that momentum to continue to use.
Now, you lost 6 position players who were starters last year. 5 of those were seniors, and they were the unquestioned leaders of the team. How do you find guys to replace what they brought to the squad? They're such a big part.
I mean, we knew we were going to lose those guys, and what they brought to the table, ability-wise, we worked hard to replace, and we have replaced that. We have a lot of talent on the team this year, but it's going to be hard to replace what they brought to the table character-wise, makeup-wise, and the mental toughness that they had each day. Those guys went through some rough times early in their careers here at Point Park, and they had that special driving force, and that much more to lose, and they were hungry for success. And that's what we're going to have to make sure that we replace, and we're making sure that the guys that we have on the team now are mentally tough.
On the pitching side, you have virtually everyone back with 3 of 4 starters, top 2 relievers, and you've added to the staff as well. Where are you in terms of pitching?
You know, I always tell our team we're going to go as far as our pitching takes us, and we return. We're better, absolutely better, more depth, and we have some guys that are going to be impact players coming in. We have Josh Brooks, who's a transfer NAIA guy, and freshmen like Ben Whittemer, who's going to contribute. Nate Spawn, transfer from Clearwater Christian College, Isaiah Marsh. He's going to help us have more depth. Manny Perdomo, transfers from St. Thomas University. He's going to help us out a lot on the mound. But the core group of guys returning, those are the guys that are going to lead the pitching staff. And again, we're going to go as far as our pitching staff takes us. And guys like Derek Peluso, Sean Clark, Mike Tullio, and Ryan Lotzenheiser are the leaders and the guys that are gonna pitch us as starting conference guys. But we do have a good bullpen and a good go-to guy beyond those 4. So I think we're better on the mound. We have as much experience as we had last year, and I'm excited to see how it pans out.
You mentioned Peluso, Ryan Lotzenheiser, and Clark as returning starting pitchers. That 4th or 5th starter, who's in the mix for that? And Tullio was the top option out of the bullpen, and who are some of the top guys out of the pen among the new guys?
Our trip next week to Tennessee, we play so many games back to back, and then we come back and play West Virginia Tech, and then we go to Florida. So we're going to play a lot before we come back for conference. So we're going to have an opportunity to see a lot of guys pitch and see who earns that fourth starting role. We are going to use Tullio as a starting guy to begin with, and as we determine that 4th starter, we'll use Tullio as our go-to guy, who did an amazing job last year, coming out of the bullpen.
Absolutely. Back to the position players, you have 3 starters back. You lost all those seniors, but the cupboard is hardly bare there. You brought in some transfers who will probably figure in the mix. How are things shaping up in the field? If you could start in the infield and work your way around the diamond.
Well, we in the infield we have 3 guys that are returning guys. So we're going to be mature there. We're going to have Lee Botner at third, Dylan Sowers at short, who are both seniors, and then we're going to have Tom Burko at second base, who's coming back from an injury but has a year of experience playing under our system. At first base, we still have it's being battled between Steve Duca and Marlon Leyva. We're still trying to figure out what we're going to do at first base, but catching wise, our starting catcher is going to be Ozzy Alfonso, who's a transfer from the South Florida area, and he's getting some pro looks right now, and the kid can catch and throw, hit, and he's gonna be a great addition to our lineup. He's definitely filling in the shoes for Dave Engel, who we lost last year. In the outfield, we'll have Tom Pasinski, who started for us last year, so we're going to be good there. And then we have Rob Novia, who's a returning guy that was a role player last year, and he's worked his way up to a starting role. And the third outfielder is still being combated by a couple guys who are going to play a little bit in Tennessee and see who wins that job.
Okay. You have a lot of guys who are new to the program but not new to college baseball. You have just 2 freshmen on the roster. Even though some of these guys might be new to Point Park, how does the experience that they have elsewhere help with them being a newcomer, being able to come in and help out right away?
There's always a transition from high school to college. Now there's a different type of transition from junior college to a 4-year school, or from one school to the next. But it's a quicker transition, and we're happy about the fact that the guys that we brought in were what we consider the complete package student, person, player, and they have bought into our system really well, and so they're ready to impact our program. Where the freshmen take a little longer, and that's it.
Who are 1 or 2 position players who were backups last year, or maybe newcomers this year, who will make the biggest impacts in your mind? You mentioned Rob Novia, guys like Jonathan Tassis come to mind, or any of the newcomers.
Yeah, well, Ozzy Alfonso, definitely. Javi Martigorena, he's a guy that can flat out swing the bat. He's either going to DH or play the outfield for us, but will definitely play every day. Marlon Leyva, who came in and he swing the bat real well, and he'll catch the back end of a doubleheader and play some first DH for us. Those guys have made the biggest impact on our preseason and our fall season so far. So we're happy to have them. And like you mentioned, Rob Novia coming in, he's a guy that came in as a freshman, and it took him a couple of years to get ready to impact the program, but he's not ready to impact the program. And we're very happy, and we could have happened to a better guy.
To point out a couple of the seniors you mentioned, Lee Bodner, Dylan Sowers, what do you need out of them just to produce as seniors? I mean, Lee had a phenomenal year, and Sowers had a good solid year as well. What are you looking for? What do you need out of those seniors in the lineup and in the field?
Leadership. For them to do the job that Brian Grice and Kyle Lucott and Frank Marco, Bryce Pfeiffer, and Dave Engel did last year. Those guys were mentally tough. They were relentless on our approach, on our on the way they went about our philosophy, and that's what we need. We need them to lead the guys that came in new, that have the talent, but might not have that ability to be relentless day in and day out, and that's basically it, being mentally tough and leading our program.
Take a moment to talk about the AMC, American Mid-East Conference. We're down to 3 teams, Point Park, Houghton, and Fisher. Even though there's a new look to the league, I imagine the goals remain the same, to win your conference, move on to the national tournament. The path might be different this year, but are the goals still remaining the same?
The goal's the same. We want to get to the World Series, and especially us being so close and having the season we had last year. The road is different, but it's just as competitive. It might not be as competitive on the front end, but once we get to, if we're fortunate to get to the unaffiliated tournament at the end of the year, we're going to be matched up with a couple of schools from Kentucky, who are warm weather schools, and it's a tough conference, and then the Gulf Coast, who's another conference, who's going to bring a couple teams into that tournament that are going to be tough to beat. So the road will be just as competitive. It's a different road, but our goal hasn't changed. We want to get to the World Series.
And for those who might not know, the unaffiliated group tournament will be the first week in May, USA Baseball Complex, Cary, North Carolina, where the 2 teams from the AMC, 2 teams from the Kentucky Conference, and 2 from the Gulf Coast will battle it out for one NAIA bid. But touching on the national perspective, Point Park finished last year 23rd nationally, started this year just outside the top 25 at 26th. When you saw those rankings, did it motivate you a little bit being on the outside, and where do you see Point Park fitting in those national rankings as we go?
I think that the first couple of trips, the trip to Tennessee and the one to Florida, are gonna dictate a lot of that. I mean, if we have 2 good trips, we're gonna show up in the rankings most of the year, and if we don't, we might fade out. As far as us being, not being in the top 25, in the preseason, there's a lot of good teams that didn't make it, and we were fortunate to be considered for a spot there, and we're happy, but we're not complacent. We want to go to Tennessee and play good baseball. We want to go to Florida and play good baseball, and hopefully come back and break in that top 25 somehow, some way. But our goal is to control the things we can control. We can't control the ranking at the end of the year, and we won't rely on a large bid or anything like that, which we were the first team out last year. But we weren't relying on that, and we won't rely on that this year. We got to make our own breaks, and we make our own breaks by having a good season, making the tournament, and hopefully moving on from there.
All right, very good, Coach. One last thing here. As you're working hard day in and day out, and we're right in the middle of it here in the preseason, what is it that keeps the team motivated? Is it the need to uphold the strong tradition of Point Park baseball and the 10 NAIA World Series appearances? Is it to compete nationally? What is it that gets you going every day?
A combination of a lot of things. One's the tradition that's here. What we accomplished last year. But one of the things that, and we're always recruiting guys that are self-motivated. But on that end, once we've come to the point where we're at now, we've worked so hard, and that's the motivation and the driving point. We, with the amount of work that we put out there, we're gonna compete, and we're gonna be 2 things that I always guarantee: we're not gonna be out hustled, and we're not gonna be out prepared. And with that, we'll give it a good chance this year, and we'll see how far it goes.
All right, very good. Point Park baseball fans, this has been Pioneers head coach Loren Torres in his 3rd year, just about a week away from the start of the regular season. They open up February 24th, a trip to Tennessee, then West Virginia, then the Florida trip. Good luck, Coach, as we get going on the 2012 season.
Thank you.